Happy to be of service. Today I am not so clear on what I wanted to talk with you about, which is okay because that's sometimes the best. Happy Easter, Easter Passover, full moon week, moving into where we're at. And if you are anything like me, you're feeling the integration. I mean, if you listen to my channel or my videos, if you've done the Soul Culture Yoga School or Soul Mapping Matrix or work with me or are friends with me, you're probably listening because you know that there is something slightly otherworldly going on. And I don't know what else to say, but hi, New Earth. Hi, New World. It is an incredible thing. So, what is happening? It is snowing in New York tonight. It is absolutely the most beautiful day, but also, people are leaving the planet because of the intensity. You have this duality going on constantly. And I had an amazing experience, as maybe many of you did, this weekend, visiting family. Sunday, Easter Sunday. I'll tell you what my experience was, and you can share with me if it's of interest to you and what you experienced. So, all I can say is, as a light working person, which is to say a person who does the shadow work for generational traumatic experiences that are both in my bloodline. I grew up Jewish, so you have this like consciousness around Holocaustal aspects, but I didn't know so much about history. And so as I grew, I also learned about not just the generational patterns in the bloodlines, but the subtle body energy, Radhe Radhe. And the subtle body energy was very valid and important, as we teach in Soul Mapping Matrix and through the Vedas, not just what's happening in the world and the plants, but what's happening within us and how we carry that with us. And thus, then you also have the spiritual aspect of whomever you worship and study with and explore with. For example, I am a Bhakta Yogini soul. I'm a jiva who is always working on my relationship, my sambandha relationship with the divine in the form of Sri Radha and Krishna. Oh yeah, because I'm at my beloved's house, friend's house, and there's Sri Radha in Man in a mood with her beloved right behind her, always missing her, and we call that Vipralamba, which means the mood of missing even though you're right there. So why this weekend was so wild? Because I was like watching the Matrix from outside of it. Now, if you're listening, hi. If you're with me, you are into this. You either talk about more esoteric values, esoteric meaning that which is hidden, which is to say the eternal stuff, the eternal wisdom and nature of not just the soul, but of the universe and how that plays out. And if you are into awakening as a psychic or a psychic person, you know that the subtle energy system, the psychic energy system, is like slightly outside of our gross body, but that doesn't necessarily speak to our spiritual life. I love talking about this. This is what I do. This is all I do. I'm a mom of a 4-year-old homeschooling, and we picked up and moved our whole world during the pandemic this year. To go run to the mountains a little bit so that we could lead retreats and couples retreats and sacred healing through this soul mapping process. In soul mapping, we talk about the different levels of consciousness, and that's all I'm interested in. So if you're not so interested in the different levels of consciousness, I'm probably not for you, and that's super okay. I love you no matter what. But that is the conversation, humanity, and how humanity is evolving. So on Sunday, I was sitting on the Cape with family, and Kalanidhi, my husband, and Raini took a hardcore nap, like talk about like some whatever shadow work he was doing and needing to transmute. Sleep is a wonderful way for us to do that. I don't do that so easily. I stayed up and I watched shows. I watched an NBA game with Boston and Brooklyn, which was amazing. Hare Krishna Prabhu, welcome. I watched all this TV. This, we call it Maya, but it's real. I watched oh my gosh, hi Vika. I watched the NBA game, which was amazing because it was again the Celtics who I grew up with, and then Brooklyn where I live. I've been living in New York for a long time in my life, and they were talking about. Of course, I hear them talking about like this one guy from Brooklyn is like killing it in the best way. He's doing so well, and twice they're like, "Oh, he didn't get the boost," and oh, it's such a hard year, and yet he's like dunk, dunk. You can just see how clear and like who was like kind of like in a little bit of a matrixy zombie world, who was shining their light to be on stage, who was really focused on the game. Luckily it was a good game and everyone was really good, but it was an opportunity for me to sit back and just like survey the scene. Why I'm saying this is because whenever the universe gives us an opportunity to be with family, I don't know if you study astrology or astronomy, these sacred sciences that are like right next to mathematics and other available sciences that are the installed sciences that go beyond time and space and our ego and mind. But they allow the universe to give us opportunities to show up and be in this matrix, in this illusionary world that is also our sacred, beloved world as human beings. And for me, I got to sit back and watch the show and not be in it, but be above or beyond it and around it. And soul mapping is what allows me to do that. Yoga allows me to do that. So I watched that, and I watched another Amazon show that was talking about AI, and I think it's called Outer Range, and it's pretty awesome actually. Josh Brolin, who's Thanos, so there's this really interesting souls coming through and doing shows and being part of this because we can watch them and see the mirror of this world, this matrix in front of us. The reason I'm sharing that is because I believe that, and this is where I might lose you, so bye if you're not interested again in talking about expanding consciousness. It's totally okay. The timelines have now crossed, and we are entering into whatever you want to call this next level of this newer timeline, newer Earth is. And they've been prophesying that forever, talking about it when the Mayan calendar ended in 2012. What were you doing? Seriously, what were you doing on December 21st, 2012? My husband was on his knee asking me to marry him, so there was definitely something happening there. But that changed the progression and timeline of how we as souls were going to be in this reality. And so I love an opportunity like Easter or holidays to be not only with family because it's loving and sweet and you want to go into a comfort zone, but because we get to heal. And most of us are dealing with these generational patterns of whatever karmic work we came in to do in this world to heal. It's going to show up with our family because they're doing their karmic work. And after these past 2 years where everyone was isolated and separated and there was so much laid out there for us to look at, and we all made choices and we all had to move forward with those choices, now we get to see, here's our humanity, right? We're back. This is it. This is where we show up together, and either we are living in the world and not of it, or we are living outside of the world and watching it from there, because the world is a stage and there is a tremendous amount of illusion going on. But the sambandha, the relationship, that's a Sanskrit word for sambandha. If we don't understand that we are in relationship, that the only point of this is what we can, of course, learn from each other and how we can raise each other up and love each other, then it becomes all about the body identification. All becomes about the illusion of disease and sickness. Although it's real, these are just our bodies. We're going to evolve, we're going to expand, and expanding consciousness is where it's at. So my interest in soul mapping and why I'm even working, because honestly, I love watching my 4-year-old and being with her. I could just do that. Kind of want to. But I know that the world needs teachers, especially women, to step up and express and expand the consciousness that has been evolving for eons, but that has been covered over um, by so many dark forces, however you want to call it. And those dark forces will always want to take what's good, manipulate it, and then run away with it. What I want to do is step up and in and be with each other so that we can raise each other up on such a strong individual level that we then collectively shift the vibration. Not because I think it's a good idea, but because it has been spoken of for eons. Today was a day where I was like, what am I going to talk about on this Rise of the Sacred Sovereign? I wasn't sure, and I wasn't sure, what would be useful, but I do know that stepping up and stepping in and being deeply, radically authentic and honest means that the ugliness of that illusion or the ugliness of disease and pain will show up. And my job is not to ignore it or bypass it. And anybody who's bypassing what's going on right now or bypassing the shadow or thinking everything's okay, I mean, God bless, you can do that. But anybody who's completely stuck in the matrix of thinking everyone is sick or diseased or dying doesn't have any clue of what this whole pandemic was about anyway. Sorry, not sorry. It's not what it was about. It was about the conscious evolution of humanity. And for that to happen, I believe humbly, and for what I understand about the Vedas, which is to say all of Sastric evidence and all knowledge in every religion, China, all the various groups of souls and groups of continents that come in, that talk about both the mental platform of our consciousness, the psychic platform, individually and collectively, we're all saying the same thing. Everyone's saying this. The pain of the past 2 years and the revealing was we got put on time out. Sit in your corner, humanity, not because you're a bad, we're all wonderful, we're all jivatmas, but because the blindness of materialism and the pure ego of trying to take over God's role, aka not even talking about God, whoever God is to you, but God. You can say source, you can say creation, no one wants to say God, and it means different personalities to everybody. But if you're not going to talk about it, then we call that lording over, right? I'm going to lord over everyone and I become the judge and ruler. We become the science. We are not the science. Science is science. Science is constantly proving ourselves wrong, constantly ascending, and that means consciousness. So, what was your Easter or Passover or full moon consciousness? Mine was pretty out there, watching the games and watching the shows and listening to the conversations and really just being sharp and being awake and not allowing myself to necessarily go to sleep for myself or to bypass the struggle of the lack of relationship or the scraping and pressing against those who I have differing or evolving consciousness with, but talking and meeting in those uncomfortable moments to then rise up to the surface of what we have all collectively been through, which was a timeout, so that as you stir the pot, when you want to make when you take milk and you start boiling it down and then mixing it because you want to make yogurt or you want to make ghee, all the bubbles have to come up, and then it starts to thicken and thicken and thicken and thicken, and that's where we are today. That's literally where we are on April 19th, 2022. We are that collective conscious soup that has been cooking for years now, and it will continue to evolve, but this timeline is going like this, right? Does anyone else feel this? Just let me know. Because if you do and you want to continue talking about that, that is the whole reason I would say stepping back into homeschooling and motherhood and writing books and really perfecting the mentorship program and much more. Can't perfect, but evolving the mentorship program, evolving the yoga school, because it was never about just a certification to teach or a way to be a coach. It's about this whole new timeline of people coming together and then seeing what gems have come of that. That's it. That's what I've got for you today. What are you interested in? What battles are you prepared to step up and say, all right, I'm showing up and I want the bliss, I want the joy, I want the relationship. Like in yoga, we say, there's the goal, the prayogen of understanding our sambandha or relationship to the divine. And that means what service we're in. So for me, teaching soul mapping means I help others simply step up to the plate and say, all right, I'm not afraid of addiction. I'm not afraid of that trauma. I'm not personally. And I want to be there with you while you experience the unfolding and spreading out of your sacred play, the Leela of your life. And then you get to see, oh yeah, that keeps coming back. I have not dealt with that. Or that is going to keep coming forward. I would like to meet that. Make friends with your enemies. Make friends with your demons. But then learn what is coming from the outside that you want nothing to do with, and become so strong and so powerful that it doesn't touch you. And then you can just watch. You can watch. You can allow. You can heal. You can chant. You can be who you are. And that confidence leads to you individually becoming the most powerful person that you can be, so that collectively we can be the most powerful we can be. That is why we all step forward and why we serve. Because the relationship has the sweetness and the other tastes. Because in Ayurveda you want 6 tastes: the sour, the pungent, the salty. You want all of those tastes in this beautiful salad that is the meal of your life. And personally, we don't really get to become fully integrated on this platform and this timeline until we can at least see, hear, and feel all of those. And that's part of the process, which is why getting a coach is really nice. I'm going to go get on a call with this amazing woman and see what she has to say and see if I can connect with her right now. I'm doing it also, connecting with not only my teachers and my guides, but new teachers who are coming from other lineages, and seeing what they want to give in this new earth timeline, because we are all coming together to do that. If you would like to speak with me more about soul mapping, that is really all I'm doing. I set aside time every week. I'm traveling right now. I'm always traveling. I'm leading a retreat in 2 weeks with my beloved husband. It's very exciting. It's the New Earth retreat, Sacred Connection retreat in the Lower Catskills. And we're very excited because a lot of students and friends, I don't like the word clients, even though I run a business, but it's a service. It's a sacred service. So a lot of Sacred Sovereign students and friends and community and clients are coming to this retreat because we haven't gathered together in a retreat for 2 years, but it's my 20th retreat. I have taught 20 retreats. That's just to age myself, since 2008. And pretty excited, pretty easy to run a retreat and bring in a lot of bliss and empowerment to people. So I'm very honored to do that in 2 weeks. You can learn all about that at jayshriyoga.com. We have a handful of spots left. It's really built right now, so the signups are happening. Gorgeous waterfalls, vegetarian food, kirtan. It's at an ashram where the bhakti yogis are all these cool, awesome traveling devotees that are all about serving. So they're wonderful, and we'll be bringing people to our home also down the street, and doing yoga and chanting. And if you want to talk about soul mapping, of course, you can sign up for a free discovery call where I will tune to you. And there's really only one way to do that, and it's you and me. So, hi, I think that's Melissa. I haven't seen you in forever. I'm closing up now by saying I pray that the integration for you of this time is powerful, vivid, healthy, sustainable, as awkward as it may be. Hi, K.A. as awkward as this time may be, you have every right to step up and show up in every way that you are to your new timeline. And if you're not into this consciousness talk, it's totally okay. But I would I would beg to guess you're starting to awaken to more psychic awareness than you ever have, because everyone on the planet isn't. And if you don't know what you're doing, that's great. You don't have to know anything about what you're doing right now because everything's popping off. That's the new world. Spontaneity is always beautiful in our Bhakti yoga tradition. We always say rag. Rag is the spontaneous love, and you add that into your medicine tools, like your daily rituals and your practice. And once those two meet, you're in flow. Hope to see you soon. Hope to talk to you more soon. Lots of love. Visit me, jayshriyoga.com, and get in touch. I would love to be in touch with you. All glory, all blessings. Radhe, Radhe, Radhe.